Apologize. I didn't actually mean to stop my recording. I meant just to pause it there. Okay, well, I'm going to take this back out. This code is in the little text file that I'm posting, so you'll be able to use it if you so desire. So I'll just take this extra column out. Don't want it, don't need it, don't want to see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify while I'm in here the index. Instead of working, see the current model for this as a strongly typed view, I'm going to change it to use my view model, right? Which is identical to the file store, except it doesn't have the content. But of course, there's no references anymore in here to the file content, right? So I'm perfectly fine making that change here. So let's come back to the controller. If I go up to my plain and simple little get index here, instead of returning a whole list of the actual file stores DB set with all the file content in each one, I'm going to modify this code now. So what I'll do is I'll put in, there's more than one way you could write this kind of code. Um, this is just the first one that popped into my head, so I'll stick with it for now. Maybe later on I can show you other approaches. But this kind of a link query where we're selecting from our file stores, uh, so from FN file stores, select. With a select in a link query, we're allowed to actually generate a new object with the data being returned, right? So my new object, instead of being an anonymous type, then will be a list or a collection of objects of this type. And as I populate the properties of each new object of this type, right, the system is smart enough to look and see, okay, well, what data do we need? Well, we need the ID, the file name, the MIME type, and the description. Because there is no request for the file content coming from the actual file store object, when this is passed to SQL in an SQL command, you'll see that if you examine the select statement generated, it pulls data from my file store table, but it does not ask for the content, that var binary max, which we turn into the byte array. So it's not even requested, never comes from the database into here, and certainly then we don't pass it to the view. So this change here, now using the view model object instead, which contains all the information for the file except the content, we'll send that to our index. And let's just see the difference now, how quickly the view actually will come up. Of course, it always takes time to load it after making changes. It's got to recompile. And of course, I'm not in the right uh, controller. So let's go File. Right, and here we are to our page. So this will be a little bit more interesting. Let's actually go choose another file. Doesn't matter. I'll find something here. Oh, PROG1198. Do I have something in here that's good? Oh, let's show you it. How about a PowerPoint? There we go. Just to show you that all different kinds of files can work. So, oh, sorry. No, I just need to click upload. Oh, darn, I cleared my file by doing that. Silly me. Let me come down, grab another PowerPoint, upload. See how fast that is? And how fast this page refreshed? Because although we did upload the whole thing and stored the byte array, we don't have to download that to produce this list. So very, very quick, and away we go. See the advantage of using the view model, right? Okay, let's go on to the next step then. I'll just stop running for now. Uh, Of course, let's just talk about it first, I suppose. Edit, details, and delete. Well, it could very well be that on the details tab, we do want to show all the information about a given file, right? And if it's an image, it'd be nice to show a preview of what the image is, okay? So let's look at doing that. So we're going to actually, when I click details right now, it takes a long time because it's pulling all the data and then just assembling it into a big long string. And it's going to show that in the actual details view here, the standard approach that's done. So let's make a change here so that this is actually worthwhile getting this data so we can actually show it using a more sophisticated approach than what I did that first time. Okay, that'll be our next adventure. Okay, we're going to focus on details then, right? Now, for the details, for the get, basically this is fine, right? Because we're actually returning an entire object. Okay, and that's exactly what we want. So we do want the data so that we can actually show the image if we have it. So believe it or not, no changes required here in the controller. It's all in the view. So let's come over to the views. Let's go to the details view. Right now, the display for file content, we've seen that that's not really the best approach. Do we want to show the image at the top? Eh, I don't know. I think what I'll do is I'll take the file content out of here altogether. So I'll just take out all that. The MIME type, file name. I would like to have the file name first, personally. So I'll just do a little cut paste there, right? Oh, okay, so we first show the file name, then we show the MIME type, and then we show the file description. And after all that, right? So I'll have to actually come after this tag because it doesn't like the kind of code we're doing inside there very well. So really what I want to do is I'm going to put a little bit of razor code here because our model does contain, right, does contain the actual file content. What I'll do is I'll first of all check that I do have content and that the MIME type contains image. So it could be image slash GIF, image slash JPEG slash PNG. I don't care. If it's an image, then it can go in an image tag, right? So here's our little trick. So this is all done in code here in the view. What we're doing is I'm creating a string, okay, converting my file content to base 64 string. So that's a nice big long string containing all the data. And then what I'm doing is then making another string for image source where we format it in just the right way so that it will actually work with the MIME type. So data, MIME type, base 64, and then we pass in the actual data here, right? So in the end, all we do is we just have an image tag back in the HTML of the page, source equals, and we just pull up our string, our image source string. So this is a way in code to do basically an embedded image where it's embedded in an encoded base 64 byte array that is passed down with the other data. And then of course it just shows up as the image itself. If you want to change this from 100, 100, 200, I don't know, whatever you want, maybe I'll make it 150. Make it a little bigger just so it's more fun to see. Okay. So with that change, the only change we actually made was here in the actual details view. Let's run this once more. So to make it more fun, we'll pick one up. Of course, it doesn't like details without a number. So I'll go back to the index of the file controller first of all. Okay, so I'll pick one of these that actually is a picture and bring it up in details view. Now it still takes a little while because there is our image, right? And you can play with the alignment. You might want to put that up over here and so on. I'll let you play with the bootstrap to do that yourself. But you see now when we go to the details, we're actually seeing the image itself as well as the file name. We know it's a JPEG, horse running in snow, and back to the list. Away we go. One more, just for the fun. There we go. All right. And here we are, just to show you. Obviously, it's very fast coming up where we don't have a preview as well, right? Because we don't really need to try and show anything. Okay, all right. So that's pretty quick. Not too bad. And a little bit nicer code, I think, than using that show and the URL action method. But that's two different ways to actually get data up in the view itself. Okay, the one thing we haven't done yet, we've got all this uploading and viewing and so on. Obviously, you could do the same kind of code in the delete process and so on as well. And you could do that in edit if edit would probably be a little different. You probably don't want to pull up the image because all you're ever going to edit would probably be the file name and file description. But let me get back to the main thing. That is downloading. So how do we download? Well, let me come to the index. Look at these action links we have here. Simply for edit, details, delete, and so on. Ideally, we should probably just throw in another one. Maybe I'll do a little bit of copy paste right here. And there we go. Make another action link just for download. Now there is no such action in my controller yet, but I will fix that. right? So I'll call the action download. I mean, I could call it anything I want, but that name seems to make sense. This way as well, it will pass the ID of the file right from my, for each loop here, I have my whole list of files, and then I can pass that to a download action. Now, what kind of an action should it be? Well, let's come back to the controller. We're familiar with action results, right? They return a view for the most part, or variations on that. What we really want to return in this case, see, I'm not using this code anymore, but I'll leave it there just for the example. What I want to do is I want to return, instead of a view, I want to return a file. So it'll just be a direct download link, so to speak, right? So in code then, what I need is an action, a type of action that returns a file. Well, there's actually a few choices for us, and there's more than one right way to do it as well. If we have time on another day, I'll get into discussion of the different approaches. But one of the nice classes we can use is to do with a file content result, right? A file content result is nice because it allows us to return a file by providing a byte array for its content. Wow, since that's exactly how it's stored in our object in Entity Framework, perfect for us to use, right? So notice that instead of saying return view, at the end we do say return file, but really the code is very simple because all we have is a simple link query here to pull up the file where the ID matches, single over default, so we get a copy of the file object, and then we just return that. By the way, I should mention that file, it was in the PowerPoint. There are different overloads for it, right? We're going to use the one where we pass the byte array, the file content, the MIME type, and the file name. If you leave out the file name, that's another overload that it will allow, but then every file gets saved with the same name unless the user overrides it and provides a name. This is probably the nicest way to do it. Now, of course, this kind of code really should have some further checks built in, right? Kind of like we do down here, where we're passing in an ID, we check if it's null or not, right, and handle that situation. After our link query, what if it doesn't find it, right? Actually, I could have done that code instead. Oh well, that's okay. If it doesn't find it, make sure we handle it some way or another. This wouldn't work for us because we can't return HTTP not found because we're not returning a view. But anyway, some further logic could be added, but for now, this is the basics that will make the job work and get it done. So all I'm doing is calling download, passing the ID, we get the file, we return it. Bada bing. Let's see if it works. So I'll come up here to my list of files that I have. And all right, once again, I went to the wrong file. Instead of home, and this actually is probably just as quicker. There we go. So now I have my download link. So I can click download, right? There it is. I can click on it and it will open my nice picture. There we go. See, it opened it in my photo viewer. There we are. I just opened it on my other screen. Sorry. Two horse at the gate. Same idea, I'm sure. Let's download this Word document. And of course, when I click on it, it'll open Word. And there's my Word document. So see, I'm getting all the functionality I really kind of wanted. And away we go. Right. By the way, we don't have to open it. We can just show in folder, right? Different browsers handle the downloads differently. Internet Explorer, I'd be given immediately a choice whether I wanted to open it or save it. In Google, it gives you this little icon here where then you can just click on it to open it, or you can just show in folder where it is. Let's just open this one though. And once again, I do have a PowerPoint, so there's my PowerPoint opening up. So I've downloaded all the files. I can open them, save them, whichever I prefer, and away you go. So we're uploading, we're downloading. I can even delete. Let me just finally change the view for the delete. So instead of showing that big long string, I'll actually show the image of the file to delete.